Hey, friends! Welcome to a cozy tale straight from Maple Grove, Indiana, where a single mom, her brave little boy, and a misunderstood rescue dog named Max turn a quiet morning into a life-changing adventure. It's a story of trust, heroism, and a small town finding its heart, perfect for anyone who loves dogs, second chances, and a good cry. If that warms your soul, hit that subscribe button. We've got more uplifting stories waiting. Grab a blanket, settle in, and let's see how one dog's love rewrote everything. Maple Grove, Indiana, basked in the tender embrace of late April, its 4,000 residents cradled in a quilt of emerald hills and golden farmland. Just a stone's throw south of Bloomington, the town wore its history proudly. Dogwood trees flared pink and white along streets where clapboard homes leaned into one another, their porches sagging under the weight of rocking chairs and potted ferns. The air carried the scent of freshly turned soil from fields beyond the railroad tracks, mingling with the chatter of kids on bikes and the clink of coffee cups at Millie's Diner. At the town's edge, in a weathered ranch house painted a fading blue, Laura Bennett's morning unraveled with a scream that stopped her heart. She'd been in the kitchen, sunlight spilling through a cracked window onto the counter where she poured coffee into a chipped mug etched with "World's Okayest Mom." Her phone buzzed mid-sip, her supervisor's voice crackling through, "Laura, we're slammed. Dr. Harris needs you for an emergency surgery. Can you make it by 9?" Before she could answer, Ethan's cry, a sharp, desperate wail, sliced through from the backyard. The phone clattered to the counter, coffee splashing as she bolted, knocking over a chair in her frantic scramble to the back door. Her sneakers skidded on the worn linoleum, breath hitching as dread clawed her mind. She'd only stepped inside for a moment, just one moment, to take that call, leaving 6-year-old Ethan with Max, their German Shepherd rescue, in the fenced yard. The seconds to reach the patio stretched into an abyss, her pulse a deafening roar. Bursting outside, Laura froze. Max, a hulking figure of muscle and scars, had his jaws clamped around Ethan's red hoodie, dragging the boy across the patchy grass with relentless force. Ethan's small face contorted in fear and confusion, his brown curls bouncing as he flailed. Toy trucks scattered near the gnarled sycamore tree that loomed over the yard like an ancient sentinel. Max's amber eyes burned with intent, his black and tan coat bristling, ears cropped jagged from a past life. "Ethan!" Laura screamed, her voice splintering. Time crawled, each heartbeat a thunderclap as her decisions replayed, adopting Max despite the shelter's warnings, brushing off David's fury, stepping inside despite the unease tugging her gut. She lunged, legs pumping, desperate to reach her son before disaster struck. Laura hadn't envisioned this life, a single mom at 34, raising Ethan in a house that echoed with emptiness. 9 months ago, her divorce from David had settled, a quiet fracture after years of growing apart. She'd fled Indianapolis's concrete sprawl for Maple Grove's slower rhythm. Drawn by a nurse's salary that stretched further here, a yard for Ethan to reclaim his childhood, and a chance to outrun the ghosts of a broken family. The move bruised them both. Ethan, once a tornado of giggles and endless questions, grew quiet, his brown eyes tracing every passing car for Daddy's silhouette. Nightmares jolted him awake, screaming for a father 2 hours away. And his therapist's suggestion lingered, a pet could anchor him, something steady, loving. Laura had pictured a fluffy golden retriever pup, all wagging tail and pedigree charm. But her savings scoffed at the notion. The Maple Grove Animal Shelter was a reluctant compromise. Amid the cacophony of barks and whines, Max stood apart, a regal shadow in a concrete kennel. His cropped ears and patchy coat hinting at hardship, his amber eyes piercing hers with an eerie wisdom. Rescued from a bad home, the worker murmured, adjusting her clipboard. Owner starved him, used a heavy hand, maybe worse. Set for euthanasia tomorrow. People don't trust big dogs with scars. Ethan, clutching a treat in his small fist, stepped forward. And Max took it with a gentleness that melted Laura's resolve. She signed the papers, deaf to David's outraged call, "You're endangering our son." And the neighbors' wary glances over picket fences. Max came home, a gamble she clung to with fragile hope. Weeks bled into months, and Max stitched himself into their unraveling lives. Ethan's nightmares softened with Max curled by his bed. His laughter, a sound Laura feared lost, rang out during backyard fetch games, and the shepherd became his shadow, nudging him from the street's edge, barking at delivery trucks. Lying still as Ethan traced his scars with tiny fingers. To Laura, Max was redemption, not the threat David and the town whispered about. That morning broke with a tender hush. Laura stirred at 6:30, grateful Max had slipped through the dog door to the fenced yard, his routine a quiet blessing. She packed Ethan's lunch, turkey sandwich, crusts trimmed. Apple slices, a chocolate chip cookie from Millie's, then roused him with a kiss on his freckled forehead. Max nudged him through breakfast, a gentle prod when he lingered over oatmeal. And by 8 o'clock, Ethan was in his red jacket and jeans, sneakers scuffed from playground wars, ready for kindergarten. Laura's shift at Maple Grove General loomed, but the call upended her plans. Emergency surgery, her supervisor pressed. "We need you." No sitter, David 2 hours north, her mom sipping pina coladas on a cruise, the neighbor kid at school. Laura knelt, brushing Ethan's curls. "Buddy, mommy's got a work crisis. How about staying home with Max? We'll watch Cars tonight, popcorn and all." Ethan's eyes sparkled, school dodged. "Max all day." Laura hesitated, David's warnings and the town's pet safety meeting next week flashing like sirens, but Max had been flawless for 4 months. The yard's fence stood tall. The gate latched tight. "Stay in the yard, don't open the gate, let Max watch you," she said, hugging him tight and ruffling Max's fur. Ethan grabbed his trucks, Max trotting behind as Laura drove off. Promising noon. The hospital swallowed her whole, charts piled high, a patient crashing, a surgery dragging past schedule. By 11:50, she'd been gone 4 hours, her calls home unanswered. Unease gnawing deeper with each mile back. Pulling onto Elm Street, she saw neighbors clustered, Mrs. Carter waving frantically, old Mr. Thompson peering over his hedge. Then Ethan's cry, a high, desperate wail from the backyard, propelled her through the house, bursting onto the patio to see Max dragging Ethan, his small body helpless. "Max, no," she shouted, sprinting across the lawn. Max growled low as she shoved him, but his jaws held only fabric, pulling Ethan away from the sycamore. Her eyes darted, a coiled rattlesnake, brown and tan, rattled faintly where Ethan's trucks lay, poised to strike. Max wasn't attacking, he was saving her son. As Laura yanked Ethan free, Max released the hoodie, planting himself between them and the snake, hackles raised, teeth bared. The rattler lunged, fangs sinking into Max's leg. He yelped, snapping until it slithered into the tree's roots, then collapsed, foam bubbling at his mouth, breathing ragged. "Mommy, Max." Ethan sobbed, clinging to her. Laura knelt, panic surging, Max had taken the bite meant for Ethan, and now he was dying for it. Laura's knees sank into the cool grass beside Max. Her nurse's training clashing with the primal fear roaring in her chest. The German shepherd's leg ballooned where the rattler's fangs had pierced, his breathing a series of shallow, wheezing gasps, his amber eyes clouding with pain. Ethan clung to her arm, his small frame trembling, tears streaking his dirt-smudged cheeks. "Is Max gonna die, Mommy?" he whimpered, his voice a fragile thread. Laura's throat tightened, but she forced steadiness into her words. "We're gonna get him help, sweetie. He's sick, but we're fighting for him." Ethan nodded, his trust a heavy mantle she couldn't let fall. Maple Grove's vet clinic sat 15 minutes away, too far if venom raced as fast as she feared, killing in hours for a dog Max's size. "Ethan, we need to move Max to the car," she said, scanning his trembling bulk. She couldn't leave Ethan alone, not now, and David was a distant 2-hour drive. Her mind seized on Mr. Ellis, 2 doors down. A retired EMT turned town curmudgeon, he'd spearheaded the pet safety meeting, his petition against Max a thorn in her side, but he'd no urgency. She fumbled her phone, dialing with shaking fingers. "Mr. Ellis, it's Laura Bennett. Max got bit by a rattler saving Ethan. I need to get him to the vet, can you watch Ethan?" A pause stretched. Then his gravelly voice softened, an unfamiliar note. "Rattler? Bring the boy here. Go save that dog." Relief surged, his unexpected grace stunned her. "Ethan, grab Max's blanket from his crate," she instructed, giving him purpose. He darted inside, returning with the green throw, its edges frayed from Max's naps by Ethan's bed. Laura spread it beside Max, rolling his 85-pound frame onto it. But lifting alone was a Herculean task. A shadow fell. Tom Riley, the mechanic from across the street, stood at the gate, his usual oil-stained jeans swapped for a clean flannel. "Heard the scream," he said, grabbing the blanket's end. "Let's move him." Together, they hauled Max to her SUV, settling him in the back, his head lolling. "Folks got him wrong," Tom murmured. "Good luck." Dropping Ethan with Mr. Ellis, who met them at his porch with a nod and a rare, gentle pat, Laura peeled out, Max's labored breaths a haunting rhythm. She wove through Maple Grove's quiet streets, past Millie's diner where retirees craned necks, past the grain silo casting its long shadow, running a light as horns blared. "Stay with me, Max," she pleaded, tears blurring the road. Memories flooded, the shelter, Max's gentle nudge of Ethan's hand, the nights he'd lain by her son's bed, a silent shield. David's voice echoed, "He's a risk." But Max had proven her right. At a cost she couldn't fathom. She screeched into Maple Grove Animal Clinic's lot, stumbling inside. "Rattlesnake bite. My dog, he's dying," she gasped at the receptionist, who snapped into gear. Tex rushed out with a gurney, lifting Max with swift precision, vanishing through staff-only doors. A tech stayed, clipboard poised. "When? Symptoms?" 25 minutes, swelling, foam, weak, Laura rattled off, her training surfacing. The tech nodded, ushering her to the waiting room. She sank into a plastic chair, adrenaline crashing, hands trembling like leaves in a storm. Across from her sat a man, 50s, gray hair swept back, weathered skin from years outdoors, amber eyes mirroring Max's, watching her with quiet intensity. "German Shepherd?" he asked, nodding toward the treatment area. "Yeah," Laura croaked, voice raw. "Saved my son from a rattler. Took the bite." He leaned forward, elbows on knees. A faint scar tracing his jaw. "Not surprising. They're bred for it, protection's their soul. Worked with shepherds 30 years, military, police, search and rescue. Best dogs alive." Before she could probe, Dr. Kim emerged, scrubs wrinkled, face etched with fatigue. "Mrs. Bennett, Max is stable with anti-venom, but it's critical. Venom's hitting hard, nervous system. Organs. You got him here fast, but the next 24 hours. She softened, eyes kind. "Prepare yourself. Want to see him?" Laura followed, legs numb, into a sterile room where Max lay, IVs dripping into his leg. An oxygen mask fogging with each faint breath, monitors beeping a fragile lifeline. His tail twitched at her voice. "You're so brave, Max," she whispered, stroking his scarred ear. "Ethan's safe because of you." Dr. Kim urged her home to Ethan, promising updates. As she left, the stranger's amber eyes tracked her, a knowing glint flickering within. Maple Grove buzzed by afternoon. The town's grapevine alight. Laura's phone lit up, neighbors texting about Ethan, offering pies, the Grove Gazette sniffing a scoop. Mrs. Carter knocked, her usual scowl replaced by teary eyes. "Max saved him from a rattler?" Laura nodded, and the widow hugged her, a seismic shift from months of grumbles. David arrived at dusk, haggard from the 2-hour drive, kneeling by Ethan asleep on the couch. Max's blanket clutched tight. "He's okay?" he asked, voice taut with worry. "Physically, yes." "Max took the hit," Laura said, recounting the chaos, the scream, the snake, Max's collapse. David's jaw clenched. "You left him alone," but softened at the rattler's mention. "Thank God he was there," he murmured, guilt shadowing his eyes. A knock broke the tension. Tom Riley. Now Jack Reed, stood with a thick folder. "Heard about Max at the clinic. I'm Jack, think he's my brother's dog. Mark abused him, lost him to the shelter. These are his records, top K9 line. Police sire, therapy dam. I've been searching for him. Here to help, not take him." The papers detailed Max's heritage, a protector born and bred, trained until cruelty broke his path. Dr. Kim called then. "Max is reacting to the anti-venom, still critical, but fighting." Next day's pivotal. Laura related to David and Jack, their trio a fragile knot of hope and strain. Outside, Maple Grove streetlights flickered on, casting long shadows over Elm Street, where whispers of Max's deed rippled through porches and lawns, a town on the cusp of change. Darkness draped Maple Grove in a heavy hush, Laura's ranch house a dim beacon of restless vigil. Ethan slept fitfully on the couch, Max's green blanket tangled around him, his small snores a lifeline as Laura and David traded uneasy shifts nearby. Phones poised for Dr. Kim's call. Jack Reed lingered, a stoic figure at the kitchen table, nursing black coffee, his amber eyes tracing memories only he could see. At 4:30 a.m. The phone jolted them, Laura's hands shook too hard to grasp it, David answering instead. "Jack says come now," he relayed, voice low, urgent. Max might not make sunrise. They left Ethan with Mrs. Carter, who'd shuffled over in slippers, and sped through pre-dawn streets, the grain silo a dark monolith against the sky, stars fading overhead. Dr. Kim met them at the clinic. exhaustion carving lines into her face, her scrubs rumpled from a sleepless night. He's hanging on, barely. Jack's been with him. His vitals spike when Jack talks, maybe old training cues. In the ICU, Max lay frail, IVs snaking from his leg, oxygen mask fogging with each labored breath, monitors a faint pulse of life against the sterile hum. His eyes fluttered at Laura's voice. Dull with pain but alive. "We're here, Max," she whispered, hand trembling on his scarred head. Jack knelt beside him, voice low and steady, recounting tales of Max's K9 kin, dogs who'd sniffed out bombs in deserts, led lost hikers home, saved kids from burning homes. Max's tail thumped weakly, a fighter clawing at survival, tethered by purpose. Sunrise crept through the clinic's windows, casting pale gold over the scene, when Mr. Ellis arrived, Ethan in tow. He woke, wouldn't stay, the old man said, his usual gruffness softened, a thermos of coffee in hand from his own sleepless night. Ethan rushed to Max, tears brimming as he pressed his small hands against the glass. "You can't go, Max, we've got trucks to fix, and I promised you a race." Max lifted his head, eyes locking on Ethan, and Dr. Kim gasped, his vitals steadied, a faint uptick on the screen. Mr. Ellis, once an EMT, peered at Max's chart with narrowed eyes. "Test for autoimmune markers, seen it in humans. Could explain the anti-venom crash. Venom's one thing, but this looks layered." Dr. Kim hesitated, then nodded, spurred by Max's rally, ordering the tests as Jack murmured agreement. Max's sire had a rare vaccine reaction. A hushed note in his lineage. Hours crawled by, the clinic a hive of quiet tension, until results confirmed it. Max's immune system overreacted, amplifying venom and treatment into a deadly cascade. Adjusted meds, steroids, a tailored anti-venom, brought slow gains. "He's got a real shot now," Dr. Kim said, a cautious smile breaking through as Ethan sat cross-legged, reading Max a truck tale from a borrowed book. Word raced through Maple Grove like wildfire. Neighbors flooded the clinic with cards, kids with crayon drawings of Max as a superhero, the Grove Gazette snapping photos for a front-page spread. Jack pulled Laura aside, showing a news clip on his phone. Max's brother, Titan, had thwarted a school shooter 3 years back, pinning the man until police arrived, proof of their bloodline's valor etched in headlines. 2 weeks later, a custody hearing loomed. Councilwoman Hayes, spurred by a twisted Gazette piece, "Rescue Dog Endangers Child," pushed a breed ban, her pearl necklace glinting as she rallied skeptics. Laura, David, and Jack faced Judge Clara Evans in a courtroom packed to the rafters, locals spilling into the hall, animal advocates from Bloomington, even a documentary filmmaker with a lens trained on the drama. Max, recovering in a custom harness Jack crafted, lightweight, supportive, sat in an anteroom, an unprecedented allowance. "This isn't routine," Judge Evans began, her voice measured. Glasses perched low as she surveyed the crowd. "Max saved Ethan Mitchell, evidence is overwhelming, training records, vet reports, his act on April 28th. He's no threat, but a guardian. He stays, no restrictions. I urge council to revise breed laws, focus on behavior, not bias." Cheers erupted. Laura hugged Ethan, tears of relief streaming as David squeezed her shoulder. A silent bridge rebuilt. Max's homecoming was a Maple Grove spectacle. Half the town crowded the clinic lot, kids waving, "Welcome home, Max" signs, Mrs. Carter at the forefront with a basket of homemade dog biscuits. Her old scorn replaced by sheepish pride. "Thought he deserved a proper welcome," she said, avoiding Laura's eyes. David, now in a fixer-upper 10 minutes away after snagging a teaching gig at the community college, had reinforced the yard's fence with a crew, new posts, snake-proof mesh, a quiet amends. He saved Ethan when I couldn't, he said, kneeling to ruffle Max's fur, the shepherd's tail wagging with recognition. 6 months later, Maple Grove unveiled the Max Safety Initiative at the community center, a ribbon cutting under October's golden oaks, Laura on the safety committee, Ethan and Max beside her. Funded by donations after Max's story went viral, $30,000 and counting, it offered free owner training, kid workshops on dog care, and a therapy program. Max, fully healed, became Dr. Max, visiting the hospital weekly in his harness, nudging kids through chemo or casts with a gentleness that earned him a nickname among nurses. Ethan thrived, his nightmares gone. David co-parenting close, their walks a town fixture, sometimes joined by Mr. Ellis, now Max's vet after retraining, or Jack, who'd stayed to launch the initiative. Adoptions soared, rescue dogs, especially shepherds, found homes as fear dissolved into trust, the revised ordinance a model for Indiana counties. One crisp evening, as sunset painted the sky in fiery oranges and pinks, Laura watched Ethan and Max race across the community park, David laughing beside her as Max herded Ethan from the swing's edge. "He's the hero we never saw coming," David said, voice warm with awe. Laura nodded, Max glancing back, amber eyes aglow with purpose, a silent vow to guard his family. A mother's split-second choice had sparked a miracle, weaving a fractured family and a wary town into a tapestry of love, stitched tight by a dog's unyielding heart. What's the big lesson from Laura, Ethan, and Max's incredible journey? It's that trust and love can bloom in the unlikeliest places, like a scarred rescue dog who turns fear into courage, or a town that learns to see a hero where it once saw a threat. Max shows us that our past doesn't define us, it's our actions that do, and that sometimes the guardians we need most come wrapped in unexpected fur. This story's a reminder to give second chances, to look beyond the surface, and to cherish the quiet protectors in our lives. Now it's your turn. Has a pet, or maybe a person, ever surprised you with their loyalty? Share your story in the comments, I'd love to read them. Drop a like if Max melted your heart. And tell us where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe so we can keep bringing you tales that inspire, because who knows, the next one might hit home for you too.